Welcome to Zelda Universe TV, it's Zelda time! Hey guys, welcome to this very late version of the ZU Mailbag. I'm your host, Bastian. The reason why it's so late is because we actually didn't realize until just yesterday that we had nobody scheduled for this week to do the Mailbag. I was so inspired by Hombre de Mundo's outdoor version of the Mailbag that I decided I'll just kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna go running at my favorite nature park, which is kind of like my own personal Lost Woods, and I'll just record it there. Of course, the tricky part is that there are people running and walking down the path, so this is going to be fun. But now you guys finally get to see my workout shirt, which is a Zelda shirt, of course. So our first question is, Bastian, what did you think of the harp in Skyward Sword? Personally, I found it lacking in comparison to the ocarina and spirit flutes. What do you think? And this question comes from Magician at DHS. That is a good question. I kind of predicted that we would have a harp as the next Zelda instrument all the way back right after Twilight Princess-ish on some forums. I don't remember where that was, so what I thought it was going to be like, though, was very different than how Nintendo actually ended up implementing it. I remember describing that I thought, like, you would press something that would bring up a harp, a large harp sort of interface, so you would kind of swing the Wiimote back and forth and then hit the trigger depending on which string is highlighted. Like the strings would be going down vertically and they would highlight as you swing the Wiimote back and forth, and then click the trigger, because that would be like plucking the strings, and that would allow you to play melodies. That's completely the opposite of what Nintendo ended up doing. I think what they really wanted to do was try to do something not melodic this time around, to do something more rhythm-based. I don't understand why they thought a harp would work best for that sort of idea. Because while it's true you can play arpeggios back and forth, we're Zelda fans. We're used to playing melodies on instruments, and a harp would be an amazing instrument to do that. So, no, I really don't think it worked out that well. Also, considering, I swear to the Golden Goddesses that the infographic thing trying to tell you how to play it indicates that you're supposed to be playing it back and forth, which if you do, it doesn't quite work out so well. You actually have to play it at like an angle for it to work better. Or maybe that's just how I had my Wii and my Wiimote set up. I don't know. But the point is, it didn't really feel like I was playing a harp at all. Our next question comes from Jolyen, spelled out phonetically, who says, do you think Groose may have been the first Gerudo male? I have more thoughts on this, but you know more about Zelda lore than I do, so I'd like to hear your thoughts. I asked this last week, answer please, smiley face. Well, I don't know that I know more about Zelda lore than you do. I mean, I've played all the games, and I'm sure you probably have too, so I'm sure we're on the same level, but, yeah, the first time that I saw Groose, I thought, he must be a Gerudo, and in fact, what I thought was going to happen, and I'm sure they intended for us to think this, was that he would end up becoming the first incarnation of Ganondorf. That's not what happened, but yeah, I mean, he's obviously probably the first Gerudo. So I wonder who the female is that he went and fathered the Gerudo race with. Let us know who you think that would be in the comments down below. Our next question comes from TheBigGamer64, who says, I got a good question. Well, I hope I've got a good answer. He says, do you think Nintendo should make Paper Zelda? Sort of like Paper Mario, but as a Zelda game. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. It wouldn't really work for a 3D style game whatsoever, of course, because the whole paper thing is supposed to be flat, but I could really imagine them doing something like a remake almost of the original Legend of Zelda, but instead of sprites, little paper cutouts, or something in that kind of style, a top-down overhead perspective. That would be really awesome. I would also buy that in a heartbeat. But I really don't think they're going to do that, because that's kind of kidsy and whimsical and silly, and that's kind of more for their Mario sort of stuff. I can't really see them doing that for Zelda, which they seem to look at a little more seriously. And then our next question comes from Josiah in NC, who says, do you think that they'll announce a new Zelda game at E3, kind of like they announced the new Smash Bros. Game, and then say that it won't be out for a few years? I don't think that they're going to do that, primarily because I really think that they're going to want to get a new Zelda game out on the 3DS and a Zelda game out on the Wii U as fast as possible. I think they've learned from their mistakes that not having big launch titles doesn't really work for them, so they're going to want to correct that. In fact, they've said in recent interviews, Nintendo has said that they learned from those mistakes, so I think we're going to definitely see an announcement for a new Zelda game for the 3DS, and probably we're going to get our first details about the Wii U Zelda game. And then our final question comes from Kalihari Mark Gmail, who says, how do you become a part of the ZU team? Well, it sort of depends on what your area of expertise is. If, for instance, we are looking for new news correspondents, the people who write our news on our front page, so there's going to be a link to that in the description down below. If you are good at journalism and good at collecting Zelda news, finding it out before most people do, you'll want to go ahead and submit an application for that. So you can submit an application to pretty much any of the positions at webmaster@zeldauniverse.net, and then we'll be happy to get back to you. That's going to wrap us up for this week's mailbag. Be sure to check out this week's Games Like Zelda video. It's about the first 2 games in the E-series, which is a really great series, and also kind of Zelda-like. A little more RPG-ish, but still an overhead action-adventure style sort of game. And now I'm going to go finish my run in these Lost Woods, so hopefully I don't get lost. See ya, guys. Bye. Our next question comes from Jolyen. Oh, I get it now. There's a mosquito that just tried to kill me, so I killed it instead. Excuse me. And we're done.